Good morning, real life kids. I'm Sarah and I'm going to be taking you through kids work today. I hope you've had a chance to play the dress up challenge with your family this morning, and that you remember the message that Jesus is interested in our hearts rather than what we look like on the outside. I also hope that you have listened to the story that John read to us today before we go into the teaching. We're still looking at stories that Jesus told us, and there are loads of them, and they're all brilliant, and they have such good things to teach us. So I hope you're going to join in with the shout out with me. Jesus told little stories with big ideas, and he wants us to know them all. This little story is about two characters that go to the temple to pray. One of them prays loud and proud and long, and the other one kind of hides away and prays really quietly, but he is real and honest with God. Only one of them went home that day forgiven and made right with God. The first character is a Pharisee. Here's my little finger puppy. Pharisees were strict, extra super holy people who tried super hard to keep all of God's law. They were respected by those around them and looked up to. In his prayer, this Pharisee told God all the reasons that he had to be proud of himself and the things that he was doing, and he thought that all of those things would make him right with God, and that actually he was more acceptable to God than those that were around him. He thought that he had committed no sin. And when he went home that day, nothing changed for the Pharisee. He went home just as he came, sure of his own efforts and his importance. The other character in the story is a tax collector. Now, tax collectors were Jews, can you see my little puppy? Were Jews who worked for the Romans. And they had to collect the money that people owed and pass it to the king. They were known for being a little bit dishonest, and often they charged people a little bit extra money and kept it for themselves. Nobody really liked them, and they were looked down on by other people, really. Now, when the tax collector came, he was very aware of his sinfulness. And we know that because in the story it says that he couldn't even lift his eyes, and he beat his chest in sorrow. He knew that nothing about him made him acceptable to God. He expressed that he was totally dependent upon God to do what he could not do for himself. In his prayer, he begged for God to show him mercy. When the Pharisee went home that day, everything had changed for him. He knew that he was forgiven, and he was the one who was made right with God. The big ideas in this story are that God is not impressed with how good we think we are or how important we think we are. There is no one who is ever made acceptable, no matter how good they are. We are all like the tax collector. We are all sinners. We have all fallen short, and we all need to know God's amazing mercy. The good news is that God has done everything that needs to be done so that we can know forgiveness in Jesus. God is interested in our hearts. He wants us to come to him and be real about who we are and the things that we have done. Let's be those who are quick to recognise when we say and do and think things that are wrong. Come to God and say sorry and ask for his forgiveness. He is so good to us, and he is always faithful to answer and show us forgiveness every single time. So now you've listened to the story and you've listened to my kind of explanation about it all, you can have a go at the crafts that are part of Kids Work this morning. I've kind of shown you two. Caleb helped me with these. He made finger puppets of the Pharisee and the tax collector. They're made from paper, and Caleb drew the characters himself. He kind of had a little Google and found some pictures that he liked and had a go at drawing them, and I think they're brilliant. I wasn't quite so creative, and I found some little pictures and printed them off, one of the Pharisee and one of the tax collector, and put them on finger puppets myself. They're just little bits of paper folded in half with a bit of sellotape down the side and the top so that you can slip your finger inside. I also made, using a shoebox that we had in the house, a theatre. Can you see that? I printed off a picture of the temple and coloured that in and stuck it in the background, and I cut out the front and stuck on some curtains and some jewels and some stars, and I cut a little hole in the top, and I made some different kind of puppets. So I printed off a picture of the Pharisee and the tax collector, and I stuck them on card and put some straws on the back with some sellotape, and then they can go, let me see, they can go inside the temple. So there's the Pharisee at the temple praying, and there's the tax collector at the temple praying. Okay, so you can have fun and you can do it however you like, but have a go at telling the story of the Pharisee and the tax collector yourself. Take care, and I hope going back to school tomorrow goes really, really well. Know that we're praying for you and that we miss you so, so much. Bye.